Hey, welcome back. So it's Monday afternoon here in the Philippines, early morning Monday in the US. So I wanted to collect my thoughts before I made this video. Yeah, I know, collecting my thoughts. It's like trying to herd chickens with a stick, right? But with what transpired Saturday afternoon in the US, early Sunday morning here in the Philippines, it impacted me. Now, most of you know that I'm now living permanently in the Philippines, but I'm from the US. I spent 65 years there, so I've got some roots. So I made some notes, and I wanted to go over some things here about this. Pardon me reading off of notes, but trying to collect my thoughts in this emotionally charged time, I felt it was necessary. So, violence has no place in politics, regardless of who you support. It doesn't matter if it's an elected official, a candidate for office, or any other government official. There's no place for violence. If you have a problem, that's why they have the ballot box. You vote the person out, you vote the person you believe in. I'm not going to go into my politics. Those are my politics. I make sure to stay out of politics. But when someone takes a shot at an elected official, a candidate for elected position, a former president of the United States, which should have all kinds of Secret Service protection, and I'll go over that a little later. This bothers me. So, like I said, I don't go into politics in my blogs, and this is not for politics. It's about the decay of society in the United States. So let me gather my thoughts and read through my notes, and I'll be right back. I feel like I can speak about the Secret Service. I never served in the Secret Service, but during my prior life, when I was young, I was a member of the Army, and during my military career, there was a portion of that in late 1977 through 78, when I worked on the presidential communications staff. It was our job. We had several teams. We would set up communications. We would stay with the president on other teams while the communications were all set up, and then we had a team come in to tear things down. It was a complicated situation, but back then, before cell phones and satellite dishes and things, you can remember 77, 78. Yeah, satellite dishes were just starting to come in at that point. But I was a member of the communications team. It was our job to provide the communications for the president and the rest of his administration. We were apolitical. We did not take politics to heart. We were weeded out if we did. So it was purely a job, but we had contact with the Secret Service every day. And because of that, we were sent to some Secret Service training, so we'd know how to interact with the Secret Service, know what their positions were, and basically get an idea of what to expect. So I can speak with a little bit of authority on the Secret Service. Now, we were vetted completely by the Secret Service. We were not allowed to be anywhere close to the president if we weren't. And with today's surveillance technology and electronics surveillance and things like that, and decades of training of how to protect VIPs, elected officials, I don't understand how yesterday's situation could have happened, and I'll go into that in a minute too. How could someone climb onto a roof 150 yards away. Now I've heard 130 yards, so somewhere in lethal range. And as a former shooter, handgun range for me, but that's 150 yards, but that's me. Rifle shot, could probably do it with my eyes closed and standing on my head. Not saying that I would ever do that, but I did a lot of target shooting. Yeah, I know. It's a little different when you're shooting at a person. Trust me, I know. But how could somebody climb onto a roof? Now, from what I've heard, there were only 3 roofs, 3 buildings to the side of the stage. Secret Service had counter snipers on one, and the other 2 were empty. So wouldn't it make sense that if somebody climbed up onto a roof, that somebody noticed? Okay, I'll get into some unconfirmed reports that I've heard today. Was the shooter was in position, the counter snipers saw this alleged shooter. Maybe I don't know. I mean, political correctness is not my forte. Anybody that knows me would know this. But he was in position and he got shots off. From what I've heard and unconfirmed reports is the Secret Service counter sniper. Now I say counter sniper because it's their job to look for snipers and to eliminate them. You've got near-in snipers, counter snipers. You've got far-out counter snipers. Again, I know these things. I've been in several situations where I would know. But allegedly, this Secret Service counter sniper was begging for the opportunity to eliminate the potential threat, and supposedly he asked for like 3 minutes. Now there were some eyewitnesses on the ground that were trying to get police to go and investigate. They were pointing up to the roof, and I saw this on several different news stations. Several different people saw this person climb up on the roof with what was alleged to be a rifle. Okay, I'm trying to be politically correct again, right? And we're trying to get the police on the ground to go do something about it before all this happened. And they said it was 5 minutes at least that they were trying to get police attention on this. Now, as an unarmed civilian, I'm probably not going to go and tackle somebody that has an alleged rifle, right? So they were doing the right things. They were trying to get the police, who are armed, to go and take care of this. So why did nobody respond? That's the question. No. Ask yourself that. The average infantry marksman is, the average infantryman is trained to shoot an AR-15 and M16 in the Army at 400 meters. This shooter was alleged to be 150 or less meters. Okay, so obviously they didn't have the training that I grew up with, and this was a lifetime of having firearms. If there was actually a counter sniper that was calling on the radio, and you got to understand, all these Secret Service agents are on a net. They all hear what each other's saying. They're disciplined to only speak when it's necessary. But if a counter sniper is calling command and asking for permission to engage, somebody on the ground that's close to the former president should have heard that, should have gotten him off the stage. Now I'm ranting. Sorry. Again, it doesn't matter who the politician is, who the elected official is. There's no place for violence, any party. And I'm being completely apolitical here. I don't get into politics. Again, political beliefs that I have, they're mine. I don't share them with anybody. For one thing, I no longer live in the United States. Anything that I say or try to do would not affect anything that happens in the United States. All I could do is alienate people or get into big arguments, and yeah, there's nothing I can do there. So I just back away from it all, and anything that I say or do here, all that's going to do is cause big problems here. And again, I can't do anything about the politics here, so I just become apolitical. I don't even get involved in politics, but this isn't about politics. What this does have to do is the breakdown in society, a complete degradation of morals, of standards, and the politicization of the government. There have been so many stories that came out. This person did this, but they belong to this party, so they're cool. This person is alleged to have done this. Let's go and get him. Let's hang him. Anyway, again, I don't want to get into politics of any one side, but it's gotten so bad that I didn't realize how bad. I lived in it for 65 years. I was immersed in it. And they gradually turn up the rhetoric a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. It's sort of like the analogy of boiling frogs. You put frogs in cool water, they're happy. You turn the heat on, gradually increase it, and the frogs don't know they're being boiled. Well, that's basically what the United States is right now. They've been gradually turning up the heat, the rhetoric, and people have started to gradually start believing it, starting drinking the soup that they are part of, and they don't realize that they're about ready to boil. And I didn't realize just how bad things were until I came to the Philippines in late December, was here for 3 months till the end of March, and then I went back to the US for 2 months so I could liquidate. When I got back there, the stories were the same, but I had new eyes. Now I'm seeing just how politicized government agencies are, how weaponized they are, and I'm seeing just how divided society has gotten in the United States, and that's a tragedy. Now, if you go back a couple of months in my videos, I made a, I guess, off-topic video. You can see that I happen to know a few things about firearms. So when I saw this video yesterday morning, now I woke up yesterday morning, I had a text from my son in the States. He says, wow, breaking news, this just happened 7 minutes ago. And he showed me the video of Trump getting shot in the ear. Fortunately, it was his ear. Like I say, the difference between the ear and the T shot, and that's this right here. And anybody that's been trained like I've been trained knows what a T shot is. So the T, if you look just slightly off, and we're only talking that much, got his ear. Only because he turned his head at just that right time. And if you look at the video, you can see he turned. Now, this could have been Biden. It could have been any of the members of the House, either party. It could have been any senator, either party. And there were politicians that were in the audience. This could have turned into a bloodbath, and this would have been a great tragedy. Whether it be a Trump rally or a Biden rally, it doesn't matter, because wherever these candidates go, there's other politicians that are hanging on their coattails. Yeah, that's a common thing with politics too. I saw it, hangers-ons. But my first thoughts were, where did those bullets go? My count was 3, could have been 4. The audio wasn't really good, but at least 3 bullets. And I think it was the second one that grazed his ear. My first thought was, where did those bullets go? But the news didn't take away from the main candidate that the Secret Service was piling onto, and that's their job. Get on top of the president, protect him, make sure the shooter's down, and you hear that in the videos. The shooter is down, because I heard one other shot, maybe two, and then it was about 10 seconds. I think I heard a third one. So there might have been two counter snipers making sure that the shooter was down. That's when they organized and they got the candidate back onto his feet and got him to the limo, got him out of there. So there you go. But my first thoughts were, where did the bullets go? Well, we find out later. My prayers go out to the victims, the one that was killed instantly and the others that were wounded. You know, my prayers go out to them and their families. I don't like to see anything like this happen. It gives guns a bad name, and that'll be the next rhetoric. Oh, it's the gun's fault. People, I had a boatload of firearms. I had 2 gun safes. They were full. I couldn't fit all of my firearms in those safes. Now, I'm not saying this to brag, but I do know what I'm talking about. I was an avid shooter. For years, I was a competitive shooter in USPSA. I was nationally ranked, so I know what I'm talking about. Like I said, 150 yards, that's handgun range because of my training. But this could have been a lot worse, and it breaks my heart to see this. It really does. To see any innocent person wounded, but it's not the gun's fault, people. It's the divisiveness of the United States. It is a complete degradation of society in the United States. These kids come into school from kindergarten to 12, K to 12. It's indoctrination every day. I watched it the latter couple of years of high school with my kids. They're in their 40s now. I watched it with my grandchildren, and I can't hardly talk to my grandchildren. They're so indoctrinated, they don't even know what reality is because they only get their information from certain sources. They don't have any idea how to research, how to look broadly, and their minds were narrowed. So all they see is just one thing. They don't see the broad picture, and that's a sad state. And then you've got the weaponization of government agencies. It's a sad state of affairs, and that's what this is all about. I'll reiterate, there is no place for violence in politics. There's no place for violent rhetoric in politics. These should be prosecuted, but there's no prosecution for certain people, so they're allowed to get away with it, and that helps to push the rhetoric even more. And unfortunately, we get people that are indoctrinated to listen to certain sources, and those sources use violent rhetoric, very negative rhetoric, and these people who don't know any better, they follow that. So there's serious questions that really need to be answered. And somebody needs to come up with these answers really quick here. There's got to be some changes because no politician or elected official should be in fear of their lives. There are protections that are in place. For high cabinet members, you've got this, and the president, vice president, former presidents, you've got the Secret Service. For visiting dignitaries, you've got the Secret Service. What dignitary is going to want to come to the United States now and do business when they don't even have any trust in the Secret Service? So Congress needs to get busy and ask these questions. Now, Congress and the Senate, they're protected by Capitol Police. There you go. So there's protections that are supposed to be in place. If the Secret Service is failing, what's happening to the Capitol Police? I'll take you back to January. Go back to January of 2021. Jeez, time flies when you're having fun. It's 2024 now. Go back January 6th, Capitol Police. Need I say more? Okay. And then all of the hearings. Okay. Again, it's the weaponization of government, and it's gotten to be just totally out of control. So for decades, the United States has been the gold standard for the free world. They've provided leadership and examples of what to do correctly. In the past 20 to 30 years, that has gone downhill. And I don't call the U.S. the gold standard. I don't call them the leaders of the free world. That's other people that call that, and regardless of where you come from, I think even reluctantly you could agree that for decades, for centuries, the United States has set the way. In the past 20 to 30 years, that's been a degradation. It's slowly gone downhill. And it pains me to say this because I spent a good portion of my life defending the United States, and I've shed blood and tears and sweat for that country. But over the past 10 years, I would say 15 years, it's been recent in my lifetime. I've seen such a degradation of what's going on. I've seen society change. I don't even recognize it anymore as being the land that I grew up in. And that's sad to say, and it really does pain me to say that. Political corruption is becoming very apparent in the United States, both in the politicians and government officials. Corruption is getting rampant in the U.S. You may see it as one way, I see it as another, but it still boils down to corruption. Is there corruption in the Philippines? Absolutely. Everybody knows it. It's open. But the Philippine government is doing something about it. Every day I'm seeing where police officials were dismissed because of their corruption. I'm seeing where a former mayor is being prosecuted and probably go to jail because, for one thing, she falsified a birth certificate, allegedly. She was supporting Chinese agents, allegedly. But these are hearings that are coming out. They're trying to stem the corruption here in the Philippines. Great. Is it corrupt? Sure. Is the U.S. corrupt? Absolutely. And it becomes apparent more and more every day. Truth will come out eventually, maybe. There are too many situations that have happened over the past 10 years. We don't know the truth. Again, the weaponization of the government and of agencies within the government, they will not let you know because they were probably behind it. Now, that's a conspiracy theory. Okay, but in the comments section, I ask all of you, please do not get political. I'm not going to entertain anything about any political party. I think I've said enough. I ask for all of you to give prayers to those victims and give prayers for the society of the United States. Dear Lord, help turn the society around and make it righteous again. Amen. I don't do religion on my channel. I just did. I guess what I did was enough politics to last a lifetime. But this isn't about any political party. I don't care which politician it is. Agree, disagree, love, hate, whatever. You don't know these people personally. You can't hate them. You can disagree, but don't use the words hate. Okay, I disagree with a lot of things. Both parties. I disagree with a lot of things. And in my mind, I can justify it, but that's disagreement. That's not hate. You know, hate has to be personal. It has to be somebody doing something to you personally. And even then, you shouldn't hate. Disagree, walk away, do whatever you have to. But look, if you disagree with a political ideology, political party, don't vote for them. vote for the opposite if you agree with that one. There's been too many times that we'll have an election, and I'm talking local elections from where I used to live. I didn't agree with either one. I just skipped that. I wasn't going to cast my vote for or against. It just disgusted me. No matter which one would have won, it was still bad. So again, this isn't political. It's shining a spotlight on how society and how government in the United States has gone completely down the old swirly porcelain device. But I walked away from the United States. I moved to the Philippines. I can't do anything as an individual to change anything in the United States. Voila, it's gone. I mean, you can vote absentee, but trust me, 1 or 2 votes when there's millions, no, that probably won't do a whole lot. And what good will it do you? Okay, I'm voting for better Social Security benefits. Really? You think that's going to do a job? I don't, because every politician, regardless of who they're with, is going to deflate the numbers of inflation. Last year, we supposedly got a 3.2%, or this year, because of last year's low inflation. You bought anything lately? You compare it to 5 years ago? Okay, you tell me that there was only 3.2% inflation. It doesn't matter who you vote for. They're going to keep Social Security low. So you want to vote because you're worried about your Social Security? Trust me, it's not going to happen. It's still going to be deflated. The numbers are going to be manipulated. You're still going to get the short end of the stick. It pains me to say that, but hey, I come into this with eyes wide open. So I can't do anything about the politics in the Philippines. I'm not a citizen. I'm not a citizen. Only citizens can vote. Hey, there's a novel idea. No, I'm not going to get into the politics of this. But unfortunately, the United States seems to have gotten away from that little design concept. But I'm going to ask all of you, regardless of where you're from, please pray for the United States. Pray for their salvation. Because if the United States goes down, all these other countries that the rest of my viewers come from, they'll go. It'll be a domino effect. The United States starts going down, pretty soon it's going to be Europe, it's going to be Great Britain, Australia, Asia. I mean, the bastards will win, trust me. So I ask all of you, pray for the United States, pray for the society of the United States to rectify themselves, to finally get real woke and not the woke. And pray for the Republic of the Philippines, my new home. Thank you all.